Hey everybody, it's Christina Holloway here. So today we're going to talk about confidence. Now, I have a client. This is how every video starts, right? I have a client and I have a client who's dealing with something that's, I think, relevant and would apply for anybody watching the video. So I hope you find it useful. So I have a client who's been struggling with her confidence. Now, the thing for her is that she's been going through a really hard time the past couple of years. Everything that she's done for her job has been quite a challenge. So right now she's feeling pretty beat up. She's not sure where she's going next, although things seem to be shaping up for her. So part of the context of our coaching is that I spent time explaining to her that it looks like the worst is behind you. Things are opening up and there are changes in her department that are indicating that things are going to get better for her. But let's start at the beginning of what she was going through. And then I'm going to walk through, after I tell you about this particular case study, some articles that I found on Harvard Business Review. I'm going to go through them, I'm going to give credit, and then I'm going to add the links in the description below so you can reference these articles as I go through them. I found some great nuggets of gold. These are the articles I've highlighted, I've made notes, and I have tabs of all of the information that I want to share. And I have 4 articles. So I'm going to go through these articles, which is a great outline that I've created for how to talk about confidence. So first up is, this is what she's been going through. So she's currently very upset that she didn't make more progress in the time that she had this position. She was referred to this job after she got hired. Somebody referred her to a new job that was a little bit outside her area of expertise. It was going to be a stretch, and she was really excited to do this job 2 years ago. In that time frame, her boss that she had hardly known left. She inherited a team of people that she didn't know. And then she had nobody to help her or nobody to build an alliance with. So she had no supervisor because that position was open for a very long time, at least 1.5 years. And the people that were working below her started to slowly chip away at her confidence. They argued with her, they disagreed with her, and they felt like they were empowered to tell her, we don't have to do what you want. And she was a senior manager level person, so she had authority. Now, at the same time, the department was going through major transformation. The business decided they were going to change how the department would be used in their new strategic direction. So everything that she thought she was going to have as she started a new job that was a little bit outside her scope, with a supervisor she didn't know and actually wasn't going to be able to work with, and then a staff that she inherited where she had no chance to develop any kind of mutually beneficial bond. And that's where she stayed for about 1.5 years, almost 2 years. And then the company agreed to start offering coaching. So she said, yeah, I'll do it. And she just, she struggled so much. We would talk over and over again. This is what you're doing. This is where you're going. She had a hard time finding her wins. She had a hard time seeing any kind of progression. She was so deep inside her, I'm not doing well and I'm failing here, that it was really hard for a while to get a breakthrough. But that came when she finally started just letting it all go. I told her, my observation was, you're really carrying a lot on your shoulders. Everything that happened in this environment was outside her control. She really had no control over these changes or when she was going to get a new supervisor. So she was just going with the flow. Now, it's important here to understand when she went through this, how she was able to develop relationships with her subordinates. That didn't actually happen the way she would have liked to, and it was something that could have buoyed her or helped her stay afloat, at least in level of confidence, until they got through this part. Here I am now coaching with her today. She now has a new supervisor. They've hired somebody. They went through the hiring process, and her supervisor has been giving her feedback. This is how we're going to start working together, and I'm looking for you as a strategic partner. The people who were working with her, were giving her a hard time, are now slowly starting to fall away. They're finding other jobs. They're moving on. They're actually realizing as well, this isn't the best environment for them either. And all that's good. All that's good. So here she is finally, when we finally had a breakthrough in things moving forward, she finally started to let it go. She finally started to have these big breakthroughs of, okay, I see I've been carrying a lot here. Now, what we're going to talk about here, I have these 4 articles. So what we're going to talk about here is what could be the path forward, and where she didn't really have the kind of support she needed, and that she needed to look inside herself or dig deeper inside herself for this level of confidence that was just going to help her survive it or coast through it, because sometimes that's all we can do. Sometimes we're getting hit from every direction. This person really had a stressful situation for an extended period of time, and then there was COVID. So she actually was struggling with quite a bit, and she started to internalize it, and that's hard. So her question to me was, how do I bounce back from something that really chipped away at my confidence? I am not a person who lacks confidence, so how do I get it back? And this is what we're going to talk about. So in the first, okay, so I have these articles. So the first article is Overcome the 8 Barriers to Confidence. I will put the link in there. So her article talks about 8 barriers to confidence. And what I found the most important, of course, she talks about self-defeating assumptions, goals that are too big, declaring victory too soon, do-it-yourselfing, blaming someone else, defensiveness, and neglecting to anticipate setbacks, and overconfidence. These are the 2 that I want to talk about: DIYing, neglecting to anticipate setbacks. This is where she may have had a little bit of a problem. You go in with a new expectations. You can't predict the future. Absolutely, no, most of us could not have predicted that we were going to end up in a pandemic, and that everything was going to get shut down, and our careers were going to change, or our lifestyle would change, or the things that we accepted as predictable and steady were going to get turned upside down. So you can anticipate setbacks to a certain extent. Now, but for her, she went into it optimistic. So she thought, okay, so my supervisor's gone. That won't last too long. And it did. It dragged on. Oh, well, I don't have any direction because the company or the department is in transition. That won't last too long. It did last a long time. And then in the meantime, the last thing that was consistent for her were the people who worked for her. And when she didn't have any direction to give them, they pretty much found direction on their own. And what did that mean? They were filling in the gaps. We talk about this a lot. If you're not giving information to another person, they're going to make assumptions. They're going to fill in the gaps and figure out on their own terms what they really think is going on. And when there's a miscommunication, that's immediately the first thing you talk about, that you go back and look at. And here we are. She never was able to really rally these people. And when I told her, or I asked her, did you ever have a mutually respectful relationship with anybody on that team who said, you know what, we've got your back, we're here for you, let's do this as a team, let's work together? She said, not once, never, not once. She said, never did anybody work with me. And as much as I tried to rally them, she's very, very good at running a team. She is a senior manager. She's got excellent management skills. She's very good at running a team, but at the same time, you can run a really dysfunctional team. You can run a really healthy team. If you're used to always building your own teams and running them in a healthy way based on your assumptions of how team management should work, it works. If you have a dysfunctional team and they fight you every step of the way, changes need to be made. What we understand is they have different assumptions about what the job is supposed to be. And so they are starting to think to themselves, well, this isn't in alignment with me. They'll leave. Or you'll have to ask them to leave if they're really going to fight and not work toward the greater good of what the department is supposed to be doing. So that's the first part. That's the first element, is not really anticipating how severe the situation is and asking, when do I need help and when do I need to get additional resources? Now, the next article is Strengthening Your Confidence to Look to Your Past. if you're really struggling or you're being challenged and you can't understand where you are or why you're here, this was the one. I often felt like I was going to get caught, that someone was going to realize that they made a mistake by promoting me to this position. That's the definition of imposter syndrome. And if you want to know more about that, I got an article. I have a video about that as well. So when you're struggling and you can't figure out why you're in this role and everything seems to be falling apart, we want you to understand and know that you didn't get here for no reason. And you need to go back and look at your progression in your career. Where have I started? How much have I learned? Where did I have my wins? How am I going to count those towards my progression, my successes? During times of stress, during times of being challenged, it's helpful to go back and remind yourself, here's where I did well. Go back and understand your strengths. You can do the Strengths Finder assessment. It's online, and then lean into your strengths. Always know where your strengths lie, and then know when you can apply them in order to help you get out of difficult situations in terms of navigating your career. Lean back on those strengths, and then make sure that you know that you see a pattern in your career progression. There's the pattern. These are the choices I made to help me get to the next level and how they worked. Did that all work? Yeah, let me try this formula that I've been using and see how it helps me in this point too. Going back and looking at past successes is going to help you at least navigate or rely back on something that's proven for you. This is inside your head. So this is what you're working toward in order to feel at least like you're making wins, or this decision isn't an anomaly that you just made a bad choice. Sometimes it is. But for the most part, every decision we make it has a reason behind it. We had a reason for doing what we did, and we had a reason for knowing and stepping into a certain level of unknown because we thought we could handle it. If your confidence gets chopped away a little bit in that space, go back and remind yourself, I've overcome bigger challenges in the past. This is just a bump in the road. Okay? Now, the third one, Why Women Leaders Need Self-Confidence by Leslie Pratch. Little bit older article, 2011, but this one in particular. Now, my client is a woman, and she does feel like her confidence has really been really taken a huge hit recently. So when we're looking at these types of situations, we do tend to know these can be gender specific. So if I was working with a person who's an executive who was a man and said, my confidence is shaken, I'm going to know that what shook his confidence is a very different collection of circumstances than if a woman came to me and said the same thing. These are different experiences that they don't translate. The women are expected certain things in the business world, and men are expected other things in the business world, and that's just when they feel a lack of confidence is in those spaces. And we see that in this article. And what I found the most valuable in this article, and I'll read it because it's so amazing. Women are expected to display high levels of social communal qualities, including needs for affiliation, a tendency to be self-sacrificing, concerns with others, spontaneity, and emotional expressiveness. Men are expected to display high levels of agenic qualities, those associated with acting or exerting power, including independence, assertiveness, self-confidence, and instrumental competence. What I can say definitely for my client is that she struggled in this space. The need for affiliation. She didn't have anybody to work with, and she didn't have a team that was supporting her. A tendency to be self-sacrificing. She was carrying the burden herself, saying, this is all my fault. Concern with others. She was so concerned with, how do I repair a relationship because it's got to be all my fault. And then spontaneity and emotional expressiveness. She's a direct person. And she struggled a lot with, where do I draw the line between being too emotional and being very matter of fact? And in fact, her feedback from the new supervisor was, you have something to say, but I feel like you're holding back. Like you're just hedging, right? And that leads us to the next article, the next point here, communicate. So speaking up takes confidence, candor, and courage, right? And this article is by Ron Ashkenaz. Fabulous. So Ron is explaining his particular argument here is there are miscommunications. He has one example which is great. This woman kept showing up and saying during meetings, you know, we're focused too much on the aesthetic and how the report looks, and why do we have to focus so much on that? And when they asked her boss, he said, I never told her she needed to work on the aesthetic. I only care what's in the report. And so here you have a disconnect. People who are working too much on the wrong thing, the wrong issues, and they never bothered to ask. Confidence, though, comes from understanding that you can speak to the hierarchy. Who can you talk to? For the entire time that I've been coaching this person, she struggled with being able to tell me who she could possibly rely on so that she could talk about where she's supposed to make progress at this moment when things were all in turmoil or in transition. So this inability to find connection or find communication or put up a red flag anywhere for anyone to see something's wrong over there, this caused a lot of problems for her. And then as the years went by, I mean months, 18 months to almost 24 months, she struggled with, should I speak up? Who am I supposed to talk to? And a lot of it kept falling back on, I should probably be managing my people better. And then they would give her resistance and she'd say, I don't know what's wrong. This has to be my fault. Let me try to manage my people better. Resistance, this must be my fault. So she got herself into a feedback loop. Get yourself out of a self-defeating mindset if you've been struggling with your confidence during difficult times. And in that sense, we do want to ask ourselves, did my confidence take a hit? In terms of working with my client, she's now working on better communication with her supervisor, developing a healthy alliance with these people who are decision makers and stakeholders. She's rebuilding her team. She spoke up and said, some of these people are not working effectively with me, and she got the go-ahead to move them around. We're not firing people, but we're moving them. They can't stay where they are if they're not working effectively with you. And if you have authority to make changes on your team, you should do that. The person's not happy, you're not happy, and productivity is taking a hit. Try to move people around and rebuild your team. And on top of that, a new strategic direction is coming forward. Now, she did explore, should I leave? And that's always important too. Yeah, always explore, should you leave? Always have your resume updated. Always go looking around, see what else is out there. Always ask yourself, where else are people doing the kind of work I'm doing? And how are they knocking it out of the park? How are they getting it done? I might get inspired. I might find ideas or solutions that I didn't consider before. Eventually, you will start networking. Eventually, you will start being back in the office. Eventually, you'll start reconnecting with people face to face. It's a very different way of connecting with people is when you're in front of them versus on a Zoom call or on a phone call. So that's it for me for this video. I hope it helped. I hope it gives you some perspective. If you're going through a really difficult time and you feel like you're struggling with your confidence about the decisions you make and you're second guessing whether you really belong where you are, please watch the video. Please read the articles. They are very helpful. Combined, the four of them, they give great insight into what people can be struggling with and how they can get out of that, that feeling. Take it slow, collect small wins, and the place where you want to be brave is in communicating with those around you. The more people know and understand what you're going through, the more likely they'll be to try to help you. And that's it. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Please feel free to follow me, click the like button, click the notification bell, and that's it. I'll see you in the next video. Thanks. Bye.